questions about dreams, dreaming, the theories, anything. Yes.
Those two main ones, really. I guess. Sure, we'll do this too. I guess
Go for it.
there's there's two recurring dreams that I don't know, we could run through quick, and if
you want to try and get a pattern out of them, yeah.
Yeah, if a pattern comes to mind, then I would want to know what it is.
Sure, I'm gonna try and fly without water, swim without water wings. No notes. I'm just gonna listen.
Yeah, no notes. And this is pretty brief.
Okay.
Since I was really little, I had recurring dreams about like climbing through small passages that like twist and turn. Sometimes it's going down, sometimes it's going up a tunnel of like crazy shapes that are hard to like climb around. And then some variations of that is like I'm in a regular house, but in the wall there's this hole that you can barely fit through, and you go through that and there's a whole nother room, and it's like this claustrophobic kind of feeling of like, even when the other room is normal sized, to know that you had to slip through that small area to get there.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like I said, it's a tunnel. It's a whole series of weird shapes that you're crawling through, and then it opens up on the other side, but you still feel claustrophobic.
So this is the primary feature of the occurrence is crawling through difficult to navigate, cramped, claustrophobic spaces.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the first thing. So we could use this as object lesson for how I approach the interpretation process. That's the first thing I do is try and what is the category of thing we're looking at? So, and it kind of, a lot of the language is in the description itself, but then I try and say it, paraphrase, which is just a general psychological process. So what you're saying is, if I have it correct, and then that's where a lot of my, does this resonate with you type of statements come from, is just trying to put it back to you in another way. It's like, so is it like this kind of thing? Is it this kind of situation? And then that's where the themes come from too. Okay. So that's step one, is trying to paraphrase it back. And then it's like, okay, so, well, what is it about those things that would be compelling to your mind? What is it your mind is analyzing? So if we look at the concepts involved, we've got claustrophobic, narrow spaces. You're crawling through it, hard to. So we've got the idea of a difficult path, a pathway full of obstacles, a very narrow path. And then I start. So these are the things I start saying to myself in my head, and then I'm like, well, this can deal with. The association jump to my mind was expectations. The meeting other people's expectations that are very narrowly defined and hard to accomplish. And then, so I throw out that, so I verbalize my process, but, so I would ask a question. Did you have an experience as a kid having difficulty following rules, or living up to expectations of elders or people you respected? And then you would say that resonates. It doesn't, Well, what would you say? Would you say yes or no?
Yeah. I mean, I was a pretty well-behaved kid, but of course, there's difficulty. It might be that most of the difficulty happened really early on when I was like 3 and 4 years old.
That's when you would consider yourself more defiant, or out of control. So actually, what you said, I want to focus in on that a little bit too, because that actually tickled the idea of, once you internalize and voluntarily lean into cooperation and following the rules, what's the word? Obedience, I guess. Then it becomes a process. Then it becomes something you care about. Then it becomes something difficult to accomplish. Meeting expectations. Like if you don't care, the world is wide open. But if you are restricting yourself to these narrow, difficult paths to follow, based on other people's expectations, that might be something. Would you say these dreams started after you started to become a better son or more responsible kid?
I really can't say because
Fair enough.
it's so early. Like some of my, I guess, earliest memories are probably, because it's a recurring dream, it's like, I remember it, but I don't really remember the original one, but I remember that this has been going on. It's so early on that, it could be something like that really early childhood, learning how to behave kind of thing.
Yeah. So that's what I do is I try to find those potential explanations, and then a person's either going to go, whoa, they're going to have a moment. I'm going to see it in their eyes. They're going to go, yeah. Or they're going to say, I don't know. I think it might be something else. And if there's no connection, there's no connection. It's not like you're doing it wrong or hiding anything. Another way of looking at it is, so there is that specific kind of narrow path. There are other kinds of narrow paths, and some of them may be building skills. It's like, because the concept we're dealing with is very confined, difficult to navigate processes or journeys, moving from one place to another through something that's not, you're not running across a football field. It's the opposite of that. It's this very narrow, tightly confined space. So you start looking at what is it that draws, what is it to make a journey or transition, changing from one place to another. It can be physical, it can be mental, changing ideas, changing behavior. And what is it that makes those types of processes difficult? What are the obstacles? The idea that you say have to contort yourself into unnatural positions to get through, to persevere. You have to change your approach, change your physical orientation to the world. So I start thinking about all those different ideas that might help explain the concept that's being displayed in this specific type of imagery. And then throw enough of those out, and eventually something hits the dartboard.
Yeah.
Did any of that? I'm rambling on all that stuff. Any of those? A moment of ping, something there?
I think what you said about transitioning from one lifestyle or context to another, to what makes transition so hard. And maybe it's connecting to that, just like a fear of committing to certain paths, because I kind of have that generally.
Yeah, or just an iconic representation of how difficult it is to make changes in general, to change from one activity to another, to change from one lifestyle to another, to move to a new city. There's all kinds of changes that demand tremendous adaptation and that have a difficult process. I mean, just think about, people think, oh, I'm moving. You're not just moving. You are selling a house. You are packing everything you own into boxes. That takes weeks or whatever. You got to put it all in a truck. You got to take it where you're going. You got to take it out of the truck. You got to set up the IKEA again. This is when you start thinking about the process, and people say, oh, I'm moving. And it's like that one little word, and all of that is packed inside, literally packed inside of it. Yeah.
Yeah. What sticks with me is, like, with the tight spaces, is like the knowledge that it would be just as hard to go back the other way. It's like it's like, I really hope I don't have to turn around after this.
Oh yeah. Commitment to the path and undoing something that you struggled to accomplish.
That's why commitment is scary, because if you want to undo it, the cost is so high. It's maybe even higher than getting there. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. And there's a bit of a trope with, oh, men are afraid of commitment type of thing. Well, I would say, I think a certain type of men are, and there's I've been burned and I'm just a player, and that's one type of fear of commitment. They no intention to settle down. The opposite side of it is taking it very seriously, and I would say, I would hope most people who get married plan to stay married. They don't get married of like, oh, maybe we'll divorce, whatever. Who the fuck if I care? Well, why get married? The marriage is, so I'm married, and I didn't do it lightly. I didn't do it without the intent that I'm not planning to undo this on a whim. So there's a commitment phobia where it's based on being very responsible. If I make a promise, I'm going to keep it. So I don't make promises lightly, and marriage is a promise. So that's that kind of commitment thing. Like, there's people that fall in and out of love on a daily basis. They move in with people, they move out. They treat it very casually, and it's more like the more responsible people are going to appear to have a more difficult time making a commitment because they take it seriously and they're not intending to undo it. Yeah.
I'm more like that, like you.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I mean, I think that explains a lot of the imagery in that crawling through the tight spaces of like, this is undoing choices, committing to a path and struggling to get there and like, oh, it's going to be twice as hard to go back. Shit.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's something in there.
Nice. I like that. Nice. I like what you did with that.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. That's actually very similar. You're the second person now to mention crawling through unusually cramped spaces. I think it was episode 47. And I think we arrived at a similar conclusion, and that's a tough one for me too, because there's a lot of overlapping potential explanations. And what I don't want to do is say one size fits all. I don't want to say tight spaces always mean the same things to everybody. So for you, it may be like a linked to responsibility and commitment, and to another person, it might be something totally different. So this is why I don't lean into Dream Dictionary stuff. I'm like, yeah, you dreamed about water, but water doesn't mean the same thing to everybody, birds, etc.
It's never that simple, right?
It's got to be highly, highly personal. Yeah. Because it's your brain. No one else has your brain. We might share common cultural understandings based on where we grew up, or mythology we've learned as a kid, storytelling. But it doesn't mean those images are always going to show up the same way. Yeah. That's my story.
Nice. No, it's good.
You just keep asking questions. I'm going to keep talking.
That's fine, because I'm liking the answers, and this is good content for you. I think.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm putting it up anyway. It's all content. I'm pretty sure.
If I were a viewer, I would want to hear you answering like sort of generic questions.
And this is fun too. This is backwards. I'm getting interviewed. You're asking me. I'm not putting you on the spot. So that's good. I should do this more often.
Yeah. I think you should, because you have a lot of expertise. You've read all these texts and stuff. Like, if someone's sharing their whole dream is like too much pressure for them, just like let them ask like safe questions, right? And
that's a good idea. This might be a whole new genre of reverse ask the wizard. Start a new new channel.
You could.
I gotta go with the branding. I feel like such an
sounds good to me.
It's like such a grandiose, egotistical idiot whenever I use the branding.
I do love the branding.
I think it's Wizard. I get a kick.
And you have the long hair and the long beard, and you're the Dream Wizard.
I got to do it.
Yeah,
you got to be something. What am I just going to be, Benjamin? The used to be in psychology guy? No.
Oh, I know.
That's not so much fun. I need the hat. I'm gonna have my wife make me a hat. At some point, I'm totally gonna wear a hat. I should get robes. I should light some candles. I don't know.
Why not?
Lean into it. I already have familiars, right? All the little cats.
That's right.
These imps. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, it's good.
It is almost like I summon them. They just show up in the backyard by magic.
They just showed up when you put the hat on?
Half the cats we got just showed up in the backyard and never left. Yeah. We feed them and they're like, well, I guess we live here now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Word around the neighborhood is.
Ben's got some food. Yes.
Yeah.
Ben's got the tasty kibble.
You make a good spontaneous guest on the show.
I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. This is.
Yeah. All right. One more question.
Sure. Yeah.
You have time? Okay. This is less a recurring dream and more like a genre of dream that I've had more than once. Very distinct though. It's that I'm really like righteously angry, and I'm like fighting something and like beating something up. And I don't even wake up angry really, but I never know like if there's something. I'm not a very angry person at all, really, in general. So, is there something I'm really angry about deep down? Like,
this is an opportunity to go the Freudian route. What are you suppressing that comes out in your dreams?
Yeah,
it's possible.
No, I know. I know it's.
Well, my first thought when you mentioned it was, what in your waking life would make you feel a righteous anger? What is it that gives you that
and
response?
It's like not many things is why this stumps me.
Yeah. It only has to be one. If you can think of anything, it could be.
It only has to be one.
Yeah.
Righteous
anger. Again, not to put you back on the spot. Let me answer your question with a question.
Yeah. I guess I was going to ask if you've heard of that before, that kind of dream.
Yeah, strong emotional reactions in dreams. Speaking categorically.
Sure.
Righteous anger. I don't know that I've spoken to someone specifically.
Dreams physical of expression of that righteous anger. Yeah, physically trying to damage something or somebody. It's never real people. It's always imagined people. I think one time it was some kind of robot.
Okay.
It's a person. It's a character, but it's not people I really know.
Yeah. Okay.
And it just leaves me so confused. Like, why was I so angry?
Yeah.
Arbitrarily.
Yeah. Well, if you can't, off the top of your head, identify what. But this is my thought process. What is righteous anger? Where does it come from? So I start word associating myself. It's like, not word associating, but conceptualizing righteous anger itself. It's, where does it come from? What is righteous anger? It is when we feel we've been wronged, is one way to look at it.
Totally, yeah.
Or when there's usually, like a moral component to it. Like, this is unfair. This is harm. And you can feel righteous anger on behalf of someone else or yourself, but it's very often defensive in nature. It's like, this is something bad has happened and it's wrong and I'm going to fight it. So there's something along those lines coming out in the dream of maybe either, let's say we go the Freudian route, it's like there's something, you're on such an even keel about things that there's possibly something you feel you should be more angry about that you weren't, and you wonder if that's the right response. Possibly.
You feel you should be more angry about
certain things or something. And sometimes that's as we were saying, that superego of the cultural or trained expectations of responses. Why do I talk about myself so much? Because I don't have any other better examples very often, but there's I overreact to some things that other people don't, and I underreact to things that some people don't. So one of my strengths working with, inpatient psychiatric mental health crisis was I was extremely patient with bipolar folks, schizophrenic folks, dementia folks, people that would wear down other staff to their last nerve and just, they couldn't deal with them. Imagine. I was like, I'm good, whatever.
Wow.
And because of now recently learning the autistic thing of where I'm like, I just don't have strong emotional reactions at all. I was very good at working with personality disorder persons because you can't really manipulate someone that doesn't have strong emotional reactions to manipulate. So I was able to be very consistent and patient with those folks too. So and then there's other things I wasn't so good at, temperamentally. So I had a point for that. Damn. Reacting to situations. Sometimes I would look at myself in comparison to others and say, well, this is just how I am, but should I try to cultivate a different approach? Am I capable? Should I have been more angry about a person? What was it? Years and years ago, a patient had been rude and another staff person had turned to me and said, "You just gonna let them do you like that?" And I'm like, I guess. So this person had the expectation that I was supposed to tell them to shut the damn mouth because that's rude. And I'm just like, I just shine it on. And the other person, and so now I'm not dealing with, did it bother me? I'm dealing with, I'm being judged by a peer who thinks I should have advocated for myself. So we get these, and then our peers' expectations become part of that superego as well, that informs our moderation of our ego and the id responses as well. So I had a point to all that. Just went off. This was about your dream. Sorry, righteous anger.
No, but yeah, totally makes sense. That was a good example, though, with someone disrespecting you, and you don't know if you should have reacted with more heat
didn't bother
than you
me.
did.
It just didn't. Yeah, I have to be honest about that. And then maybe I should have spoken up anyway, because that would be actually the therapeutic thing to do, to tell someone, to confront them with the truth. We could say reality orientation. That's rude. Don't talk to people like that. Don't talk to me like that, please. Because maybe that's something they needed to hear. And maybe I missed an opportunity. Yeah, to be more, to be therapeutically assertive with someone who needed to learn a better way to behave and interact. Maybe I missed an opportunity. Yeah. So I gotta be honest about that. Yeah. And so a lot of things you're hearing on these videos too are, of course, it's my understanding of things because it's coming from my head. It's my associations I'm offering. So it can only be as broad or as complete as I'm able to think of. And I may miss things too. So when I'm offering things like what would cause a person to be righteously angry, I have been, I think, a few times and lost my cool, but red-faced, loud voice, when I thought I was being treated unfairly, or when I was advocating on behalf of someone else who was being, say, verbally abused in front of me in a way that I'm like, okay, if that was me, I'd take it, but I'm not letting you do that to them.
Yeah.
So this is where my then offering of these ideas comes from, to say, is it this? Could it be that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like where you went with that. That's good.
So all of that talk, then I try and throw it back to you and say, now you're kind of conceptualizing this righteous anger in your dream. And did any of that ring a bell or lead you to connect some dots that, or spurred you to think about a sudden past memory?
Yeah. Not a particular memory. It's like I said, I don't really get angry or act in anger. I've also had just like a very comfortable life with not too many like tragic things happening that it would be good to get angry about. Like not a lot of opportunities for righteous anger. So maybe there's a part of me that wonders, like, righteous anger is a good thing sometimes. Like, will you have it in you if a situation like that arises?
Yeah.
Given that this is not a thing that I'm used to, like, would I have it in me?
For sure.
That's what I get with that.
Yeah, maybe, definitely. And I mean, not only that, but that's I had a moment myself too when you were saying that, the idea that questioning your capabilities, we all do. Like, will I be ready to adapt or react if I need to? But there may even be a part of us we're not proud of that's like, I kind of wish I had an opportunity to be righteously angry. It seems like it might be a lot of fun. I'm not going to create. I'm not going to create it on purpose. But if it happened, I might enjoy it.
Guilty. Yes.
Right. Yeah. So there's like that little guilty pleasure. I wish I could be really mad about something and be justified. That might feel really good. And of course, I think it does. That reminds me of, remember that movie, Liam Neeson movie, Taken, came out ages ago, and then Taken 2, Taken
totally.
3.
So that's the whole fantasy, right?
Taken also
he's justified and he's just so brutal, right?
Yeah. And that movie left me thinking at the end of it, man, I wish I had something that drove me that passionately. I don't want to suffer that much to have that much passion. No, thank you. So the thought occurred to me of how how meaningful it would be to be driven by that kind of passion, but I don't want to suffer to achieve it. So no, thank you. I will have a nice, comfortable, boring life, and
it's a part of the human experience that we've cut out of modern life, right?
Yeah.
With all this different structures and social contracts and stuff, but it is a human experience. So being human, we kind of crave it sometimes.
Yeah, that's tough too. It's like I look at I mean, not to get, well, I hate the word political, but not to take it to a political place, but looking at creating a better world cooperatively, that managing human behavior and working together always lends into the politics. And there's a lot of there's a broad dichotomy of people who lean heavily one way or another. We need to adapt our behavior to the world, or we need to bend the world to our will. And some part of that bending the world to our will is assuming, in some ways, the tabula rasa idea of humankind, where you can create people purposefully to want to live a certain way. And that's a big struggle today of people who believe we have an innate nature or people who think we are blank slates. So is it possible, Matrix style, we created a paradise and you ruined it because you messy, stinky, smelly human biological organisms just love to suffer, and we couldn't make you accept our paradise. And that's the machine's view of like
That's what Agent Smith says.
Yeah. He's like, we made you a paradise and you ruined it. You rejected it. We couldn't get you to stay in the Matrix, so we had to give you challenges. So I wonder if we make the world too perfect, too comfortable, too suited to our needs, and we start seeing
too suited to some of our needs and
not others.
We didn't see other needs. Yeah.
Neglected. Or the solution causes problems, that unintended consequences.
Yeah. That's a lot of that going around. Seems
for sure. So without being specific about what I believe, I mean, I've said it before, I lean strongly libertarian, but that's because I'm very conscious of the unintended consequences of me assuming I know what's good for you enough to force you to do it.
Right.
Very reluctant to do that ever. So I don't know.
Totally get that.
Opinions vary. So, yeah.
But I'm trying to remember how we got here.
It was like a third question. Oh, the righteous anger thing, and then we went off on it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, righteous anger,
human nature, and feelings.
And missing opportunities for righteous anger.
Yeah,
where you would think back in the primal environment, I bet there was a lot of righteous anger going around.
Yeah,
you look at chimpanzees. I feel like they feel a lot of righteous anger in their daily lives.
They maybe the way they act. Maybe do, yeah, and get over it quicker. Like
fight each other.
There's a lot more. There's something to be said for people who bottle it up is the negative expression. People who pop off is again two ways of describing those things negatively. But bottling up can also be just even keel, and popping off can also be expressing. So there's good ways and bad ways to look at it depending on how it negatively impacts yourself or others. I tend to be more of a even keel person, but I also respect people that are more. They wear their heart on their sleeve a little more. You always know what they're thinking and feeling because they just blurt it out, and you can always trust they're being honest with you because they can't help it. I actually love that kind of person, even though it's very different from I am. That's what's my wife is more of a, let me tell you what I really think, and she will. So I always appreciate that.
Trustworthy that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Very important.
And then I struggle with, am I being even keeled or am I suppressing? Should I be more expressive or should I be, am I holding something back because I'm trying to be judicious, tactful, diplomatic, or, and the flip side of that same behavior is manipulative. How do you not tip over into, I'm telling you what you want to hear. Well, I'm trying to tell you what I think is going to work. It is aiming towards, and it depends what you're aiming for. A desired outcome, but it's the desired outcome. We work better together or I control you. So there's a good and bad sides of that too.
Yep.
That's tough. I don't know. That's my autistic thing. Like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with people. much better with animals. If he doesn't like something, if he doesn't like something, he's going to let me know. If he's comfortable, he's going to take a nap. Animals are always honest. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I guess they are.
Yeah. I like that. I like it a lot.
Awesome.
Well, did you have more questions you wanted to?
I think that's it for now.
Yeah, we went another hour. This is going up for sure.
This has been fun. I'll definitely let you know if I have more stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know if I want to do a depiction of something from the other episode.
Sure. Feel free to do whatever you want and send it to me. I don't think any of this stuff is copyrighted. I mean, if you're inspired to draw a dream scene from something you heard online, I don't think it's stealing anything. I can't imagine. I think that's fair use. Yeah, I think it's fair use.
Yeah. It's got to be.
At least I'm not going to flag it, so fuck it. you know that in advance. So, well, you want to wrap it up, and I'll let you get on with your day, and we'll
wrap it up. Yeah. I got to go cook dinner.
Oh, me too. I'm gonna do mac and cheese with fried sausages and like hot dog kielbasa style, chopped
like the savory.
Yeah.
That sounds like
mac and cheese with hot dogs
savory.
and peas. Yeah.
Maybe a little
garlic pepper.
Yeah, that's an explosion of savory flavors.
I love it. This little guy loves it too. I can't eat a meal, but he wants some of it. He loves the hot dog chunks. Of course he does.
Oh yeah, sure. Of course he does.
All right. Well,
all right.
I guess I'll really let you go now, huh?
All right.
Cool.
It's been a real pleasure.
Hey, thank you. You too. Thank you for this opportunity to do this. I didn't know this would be as much fun. I mean, I was down for it either way, but
awesome.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad. All right.
Cool beans.
Talk to you later.
All right. See ya.